The Princess and the Dragon. Long ago, there was a kingdom that was always in wintertime, never spring, summer, or fall. This was the fabled Snow Kingdom, and in it lived the beautiful Princess Snowbell. She was very kind and smart, and she worked hard on all her princess duties, but her mother and father, the king and queen, were dull, very quiet, and never let her go outside the castle grounds. "How come I can never go outside the kingdom?" she asked all the time. "I want to see new places and meet new people." "We tell you all the time, Princess Snowbell, it's not safe at all in the other world," said her mom, the queen. "There's bandits who will steal all your stuff and trolls that will smash anything they see. And worst of all, the great big dragons out there, and all they want most is to gobble up a princess like you." "Okay, Mom," said Princess Snowbell sadly. But secretly she still really wanted to go out and maybe see their things. She'd never seen a dragon before in her life. Maybe they were not so big and scary? Mostly she wanted to go out and see real flowers bloom. Because they lived in the Snow Kingdom, there was only just snow and ice to see, and Christmas trees and holly were what grew. Never any spring flowers like she saw in books. "I bet spring would be the prettiest thing ever to see," thought Princess Snowbell. One day she was out in the courtyard doing her studies, and meanwhile a few merchants were loading up a wagon to go take goods from the Snow Kingdom to sell in another land. Princess Snowbell now then covered wagons and got an idea. She could sneak inside and go with them to see a lot of the outside lands, then she could follow the road fade home before dinner. She snuck inside the biggest wagon, full of holly berries and wreaths, and hid while the merchants weren't looking. Then soon enough they were off and headed outside the Snow Kingdom. Princess Snowbell peeked just outside of the wagon as they went down the road so she could see outside. There was so much outside the castle walls. Big mounty rocks, tall fine trees, and all lots of people she'd never seen before. "This is so pretty, cool. Why were Mom and Dad saying the outside was so dangerous?" Finally the wagons came to a stop because they had to give water to the horses. "I must be far enough away from the castle right now. I should jump out so I can get home in time," thought Princess Snowbell. "So I jumped out and hid behind some big trees while the merchants were getting water. They would probably tell the king and queen if they caught her outside. So she waited until they left before she came out. Now I can look at the wild outside on my way back home. And maybe I can paint some of these things in my special books." Princess Snowbell was very good at painting even from memory. She started to walk back to the castle. But while she was walking back she ran into a problem. There were parts where the road split, and she had not been looking at the road. So she didn't know which way to go. She tried going to the right and kept walking and walking, but nothing looked familiar. Then another split in the road, and she tried the left way, but it still wasn't looking good. "Maybe if I cut through the trees I can go back to the main road," she said, but nervously. She tried to go through the trees, but the woods just seemed to go deeper and darker. There was no sign of the road at all. Now Princess Snowbell was really worried. "I'm not lost, am I?" she thought anxiously. "Hello?" she said to the woods, but there was no answer except for hooting owls and scuttling bugs. Princess Snowbell was normally brave, but she got scared by the rounds and kept running faster and faster. Finally, the trees stopped and she was at a great big, frozen lake. She stopped, too tired to keep running. She had not seen this lake on the road. So she now had no clue where she was. "I'm lost," she said sadly, letting herself admit it. She was totally lost in the woods, by herself, with no clue how to get home. And at this point the sun was starting to go down, it would be dinner time soon. There was no way she would get home in time now. All sorts of scary noises were coming from the woods. Owls and bugs and snakes, and there was even a howling wolf. While she was brave, right now Princess Snowbell didn't feel brave at all. She was lost and alone, and it was very cold. She sat by the edge of the frozen lake and started to cry. I should have listened to Mom and Dad. They said not to go into the outside world and now I'm lost in it. What if there's bandits coming to get me? Or a huge smelly troll lurking nearby? Or maybe even. Then suddenly, an enormous shadow flew over her, blocking out the moonlight. Princess Snowbell very slowly turned around and saw. Standing behind her was a huge dragon. Princess Snowbell was too scared to move, but was also completely amazed. She had never seen a dragon before in real life. The dragon was big and covered in purple scales that shined in the moonlight. She had a long, glowing mane colored like rich soil, and a long, squishy tail. The dragon had great big wings folded down, 2 horns, long sharp claws, and eyes that glowed gold. Princess Snowbell had never seen something like this before. The dragon stares down at her with its big, golden eyes. "Hey! What are you doing out here crying?" Princess Snowbell couldn't talk for a little bit, because she was so stuck looking into those glowing eyes. Then she remembered she was crying and tried to wipe away her tears. "I'm very sorry I bothered you, Miss Dragon. I'm crying because I'm lost, and I don't know how to get home, and..." Then she suddenly remembered what her mom said about dragons and got worried again. "Are you going to eat me?" The dragon looked down at her confused. "No, that's dumb. Why would I do that?" Princess Snowbell was relieved but also a bit confused. "I'm very sorry if I offended you. It's just that I've never seen a dragon before, and my mom, the queen, said dragons like to gobble up princesses." The dragon rolled her eyes and let out a snort. She said, "Queens can be so stupid sometimes. No, I don't eat princesses or anyone. Except for dumb knights, and only if they attack me first." "Oh, that's good. I was really worried," said Princess Snowbell, and let out a sigh of relief. She remembered that she should get home, although mostly she wanted to stay here and keep talking to the dragon. What if she never got to go outside again? And even though the dragon was big and scary, looking with her horns and claws, for some reason Princess Snowbell felt safer with her nearby. Do you know how to get to the snow castle from here, Miss Dragon?" she asked as politely as she could. The dragon looked over the trees and then back at her. "I know where it is, but you won't be able to get there by yourself before it's night time. And there's trolls around woods too, and they're actually mean," said the dragon. "Oh no," Princess Snowbell said. Maybe the dragon was nice but not everything. "I don't know what to do." The dragon thought to herself for a moment. Finally she made a decision. "Okay. You can come stay with me in my cave for the night, and then you can go back to the Snow Kingdom tomorrow. But only if you promise not to tell anyone where it is. My cave is a secret. I promise I won't tell anyone." Princess Snowbell promised. She was very truthful. "Okay, my cave is just over here," the dragon said. She led her into the woods and up a path to a secret cave that was hidden by a lot of trees and overhanging vines. The dragon waited for her to go inside first and then followed her in. The inside of the cave was actually really nice. There was a huge roaring fire and a big soft warm spot that was maybe a bed, and even lots of flowers Princess Snowbell had never seen before. "Your cave is so beautiful, Miss Dragon. I thought dragon caves would be very dark and scary," Princess Snowbell said. "It's okay for now, but I'm probably not gonna stay in it long," said the dragon. "I usually go to places far away and stay a while, then fly to a new place. I can go wherever I want. I wish I could do that, but I've never been outside the castle walls, and I got lost trying to find my way back." Princess Snowbell was sad. "Yeah, you need to get better at that before you run away from home and stuff," the dragon said. Princess Snowbell sighed and wished that she could do those things. The dragon seemed so strong and independent, and Princess Snowbell wished she could be more like her. Maybe the dragon could teach her. But what if? "When are you going to a land, Miss Dragon?" asked Princess Snowbell. I was going to fly far south tomorrow, but I guess I'll take you back to your castle first," said the dragon. Princess Snowbell felt her heart sink. She had only just met the dragon and already she was going to go far away? Was this just a terrible destiny? "Miss Dragon, can't you please stay longer in this land?" The dragon gave her a confused look. "Why?" Suddenly Princess Snowbell felt very nervous. She couldn't just say what she was really feeling. That she liked the way the firelight made her purple scales shimmer and glow. That she seemed so big and powerful. That she liked the way her tail slowly rushed back and forth. And she couldn't stop looking into those bright glowing eyes like shimmery liquid gold. But she couldn't say all of that or the dragon might think she was weird or something. She tried to think of something else. Maybe there was some way her princess knowledge could actually help. Well, I could make you something because I know how to bake dements," said Princess Snowbell. "Have you ever had gingerbread cookies?" The dragon said, "No, I've never had any cookies. Dragons never learn how to cook because it's too hard." "Well, maybe I can make you some, and if you like them, I can make you more when I'm back home?" Princess Snowbell asked. "Okay, whatever," the dragon replied. She didn't seem that interested. But Princess Snowbell was determined. Now she just had to bake the best cookies ever. She immediately got to work making the cookies. Which was pretty hard because the dragon didn't have any normal kitchen utensils. But she was very smart and found things she could use instead of regular eggs or sugar. She put all her skills at baking to the test. And even shaped the gingerbread cookies into little dragon shapes, and then cooked them with a big fire. Finally she had a tray of fresh gingerbread cookies and she brought them up to the dragon. This was the most nervous she'd even been making. "Here. You can try one and see if you like it," she started to say, but then suddenly, the dragon took up the tray and ate all the cookies in a single gulp. Princess Snowbell didn't know what to do, and then she saw the dragon's golden eyes get brighter and brighter, like she was lighting up on the inside. And were those new flowers suddenly growing where she was sitting? "Those are really good," the dragon said, licking her lips. "I've never had those before." Princess Snowbell was so excited. So maybe the dragon would stay after all? "They're even better with frosting, and I can make them for you back at home," she said, trying to sound normal, but it was hard to contain her happiness. The dragon looked happy for a moment too, but then went back to a more stern expression. Snowbell worried. What was she winning? "Hey. Thanks for the cookies," the dragon said, but she seemed thoughtful. "We should probably go to sleep so we can fly back in the morning though." "Okay." Princess Snowbell was tired, but she also didn't want to sleep yet. She looked around the cave. "Where should I?" "You can sleep by the fire and I'll be over here," the dragon said before Princess Snowbell could even ask. There was a large spaced bed close to the fire that was way too big for her. She sat down in it and it was very warm, and covered in beautiful flowers. She looked over and saw the dragon curl up in a corner, and she looked very lonely. Princess Snowbell didn't want her to be sad and alone. "Miss Dragon." "What? Aren't you tired?" the dragon said loudly. "Yes, but I don't want to take your bed," Princess Snowbell said softly. The dragon was quiet for a minute, and Princess Snowbell didn't know what to think before the dragon asked, "Why are you being so nice to me?" Princess Snowbell was so confused. It was the dragon who was being the nice one. "But you are nice. You rescued me from the outside and are letting me stay in your own cave and promised to fly me home tomorrow. I should be polite, it's what a princess should do." The dragon suddenly looked very sad. "No, princesses usually scream and run away from me, because they think I'll eat them. Knights come and attack me for that reason, too. People hate me because I have to sometimes take their sheep for my food. They think I'll burn down their houses. The truth is, I move around all the time because people hate dragons and I don't want to be around them." All this made Princess Snowbell so sad. She had been so amazed to meet the dragon that she didn't even think of how she must feel. All her life she had heard how horrible dragons were, and now she realized the dragon had, too. Tears welled up in Princess Snowbell's eyes at the thought of it. "I'm so sorry. I didn't want to hurt your feelings, Miss Dragon. I think you're very nice, and she wanted to say she thought she was beautiful, but she was still scared to say it. And you should have your own bed because this is your home." She dried her eyes and stood up proudly. The dragon looked so surprised, like she wanted to be sarcastic but couldn't because Princess Snowbell was so sincere. She finally came over and laid back down on her warm bed. Princess Snowbell was satisfied with this, but then the dragon patted the spot beside her. "Here, you're really small so you need to stay warm." Princess Snowbell was frozen for a moment of amazement. The dragon was letting her stay that close to her. She thought she might die from blushing so much, but she slowly walked back over and sat down on the soft spot beside the dragon. "Thank you for being a nice princess. Go to sleep," said the dragon, and curled up around her. All the nicest, softest pillows on her royal bed back home weren't as nice as this. The dragon was so big around her, but her purple scales were no soft and warm. She was surrounded by terrifying sharp claws and spikes, but she felt completely safe. The dragon's huge wings were folded over them like a tent. What a magnificent creature! Princess Snowbell wanted to stay awake so she could have that feeling forever, but she was so comfortable that she fell asleep right away. The next morning Princess Snowbell almost forgot she wasn't really at home. The bed was soft and there was a fire glowing nearby. What if meeting the dragon was just a nice dream? But then she opened her eyes, and she saw two huge golden eyes staring down at her. "Hey, wake up, sleepyhead, we need to get you back home already." It wasn't a dream after all. It had all really happened. Princess Snowbell stood up quickly, with some flowers sticking to her dress and hair. "Miss Dragon, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to oversleep. I was just so comfortable," and the dragon actually smiled a bit at her, letting her see some of those sharp teeth. "I bet all princesses sleep in too much," she said. She leaned her head down close to Princess Snowbell. "But I don't want any dumb nights to come bother me, so let's get you home where you belong." Princess Snowbell was very nervous at first, not sure what to do, before she realized the dragon wanted her to ride on her back. She'd only ridden on very slow horses before, and this was completely different. She didn't want to be rude though, so she swallowed down her worries and carefully climbed up onto her back, but still in front of her wings. The dragon's long mane flowed down on her back, so Princess Snowbell held onto it, hoping that she wasn't grabbing too hard. "Hold on tight," said the dragon. The dragon walked out of her cave and spread her huge wings, and then, whoosh! They took off at super fast speed, making Princess Snowbell hang on for dear life. Before she knew it, she was up super high in the air, with the dragon beating its big wings around her, and her mane flowing in the wind. At first, Princess Snowbell was too scared to look, but she finally did, and saw the landscape of the Snow Kingdom. It was so beautiful from high up. She never could have imagined this. "You doing okay?" the dragon called back to her, and Princess Snowbell finally gave a slow nod. "I've never been up this high, it's so amazing," she said really loudly, over the rushing wind. "Lots of snow and ice here," the dragon said. Princess Snowbell remembered her original reason for running away in the first place. "It's always winter in the Snow Kingdom," she said with a sigh. "It's nice and all, but it's all I never get to see. I wish I could see a land in spring, covered in beautiful flowers." The dragon suddenly got a mischievous glint in her eyes. "I can show you a land in beautiful flowers," she said mysteriously. "Really? Where?" asked Princess Snowbell. "Watch this," said the dragon, and Princess Snowbell had to hold on tight as the dragon dove towards Earth. The dragon took a deep breath, like she was going to blow fire. But instead what came out was a strong warm air. Her breath didn't burn things like everyone said dragon breath did, but it melted away all the ice and snow on the ground and trees. As the snow melted, bright green grass and a rainbow of colorful flowers sprouted out of the ground. They spread across the land everywhere the dragon flew. The air was full of flower petals and the smell of spring. Princess Snowbell was completely amazed at it all. "This is the most beautiful I've seen in my whole life," Princess Snowbell exclaimed. "It's magic. Some dragons from the summer breathe fire, but that's not me. I'm a dragon of spring," said the dragon. They continued across the fields to the castle, with a trail of spring flowers blooming behind them. Princess Snowbell had never been so happy. She could see some kingdom people and guards pointing and yelling at them as they got closer to the castle, but she didn't care. She would make them understand later. She didn't want this ride to end. Finally, the dragon got to the castle itself, and went in a big circle around it until they found the tower that had her bedroom. The dragon carefully landed on the rag of the balcony, leaned her head down that Princess Snowbell could get off. "There we go, I said I could get you home really fast." Princess Snowbell slowly slid off the dragon's back reluctantly. She had been so excited to go home, but now she was sad. Was this really goodbye for them? "Miss Dragon, you've been so nice, and I wanted to say thank you for everything, and She hesitated. She thought she might cry. And it looked like the dragon could tell. "Hey, why are you looking like you might cry again?" she asked. "Because I know you have to go, and I will miss you so much," Princess Snowbell said. The dragon looked a little thoughtful. "Well, maybe I can stay around this land a little longer." Princess Snowbell got excited again. Maybe her dream could come true. "Really? You'll stay? Just because I want to have more of those cookies that you made," the dragon said, but then added, "and also to talk a little more." "Yes. Of course I will make plenty more for you, Miss Dragon. I would love to." "Okay, then I'll be back here tomorrow," the dragon said. She spread her wings out and took off from the tower with a mighty gust of wind. As she did, all the ice and snow that was left on the balcony melted away, and beautiful flowers started to bloom. Princess Snowbell leaned against the balcony railing covered in flowers and happily sighed. She knew her mother and father would be running to her, but she could barely even think about that. All she could think about was the dragon's beautiful scales and flowing mane, her deep resonating voice, her claws and horns, and her big golden eyes. She had a huge realization. All the tales and stories she heard growing up were that princess fell in love with the brave knight who rescued them from a dragon. But it wasn't like that for her at all. She was a princess. In love with a dragon.
Hey Noelle, found your notebook here.
Wait.
Whoa, you draw really good. Why does that look like